Hey, welcome to Planetary Pennies, Astrology Overview and Look at the month ahead of October 2020. Before I start, some people have been telling me they're finding it difficult to find their particular sun sign, and they don't particularly want to read or listen to all the other sun signs, which I fully understand, unless of course you know your ascendant or your moon sign, and then you can also look at those for yourself. So my lovely tech guy Jerry has just given me a brief description so that I can explain to you how you find your particular sun sign. So if you look down here at the bottom of the video here, you should see a little arrow. I think at this point it's probably pointing upwards, but it has something written on it that says show more. Now what you have to do is you click on show more and a description box drops down, and then you will see like an index for all the signs. So you'll have, Leo, and it'll start with the overview for October plus Leo's astrology. So that way I'm hoping it'll be a lot easier for you to navigate around this channel. Okay, so with no further ado, and I really hope that helps to explain it, I will continue with October's overview. So we are now in Libra season. So, when the sun moves into Libra, it kind of focuses us much more on the relationship aspect of life. So that would be the relationship aspect of, for example, our one-to-one close friendships, our one-to-one intimate relationships with family, with more, our wider friend circle. I also think, because when I looked at the chart, and I'm going to go over that briefly in a minute, when I looked at the chart for October, there is actually a pretty strong emphasis, in spite of the sun being in Libra, there is an emphasis on relationships. And I think this is on a rather grander scale, because I think this is actually on an international scale. Relationships between countries, relationships within countries, between communities. My sense is, because we have Mars retrograde, and it will be for quite a while in Aries, and Mars is making this harsh, difficult aspect to the big boys, Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn, which is in the 7th house of this October chart that I've set up. And what that tells me is that I really feel governments and world leaders are going to really struggle with keeping people safe within the confines of lockdown, because I suspect there's going to be a real movement underneath, or underground if you like, of the masses, the populace, getting very frustrated with lockdown, getting very frustrated with the fact that they are being so damaged financially in their individual businesses. They are losing jobs, and so there is going to be, I think, a real surge towards this kind of unrest. And my sense is that as these planets, that is Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, start to move forward again in Capricorn, because Pluto actually starts to move forward on it moves forward on the 4th of October. So we will then have these three big boys going direct in Capricorn. So that's Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter. Now remember, Jupiter expands, and Jupiter can expand negative stuff as well as positive stuff, because it's like Jupiter is kind of neutral. So what I want to say with this is that, Pluto is pushing us towards transforming the way we actually govern our planet. It's pushing countries to transform the way they administer their governmental duties. It's on such a broad scale. You see Saturn that is also direct now, because Saturn went direct at the end of September. You know, Saturn is about governments and order and law and restrictions and boundaries. And I really feel that there is going to be quite a tension throughout the month of October, because as we move towards the end of the year, when these planets, in a sense, meet up much more tightly, because Jupiter, and again, remember, it expands what it touches. That's great if you've got a winning lottery ticket. And maybe we'll get some of those this month, who knows? And let's hope I'll go and buy one. And it expands what's negative and what's dark as well. So, you know, we also have to remember that we're moving towards the US elections. And we've seen in other years how tense things get throughout the world as we observe what's happening on the United States stage in these kind of events that have to unfold. So what I'm saying on a more personal level is, be mindful of your close personal relationships. Be mindful of short tempers with each other. I notice, for example, on social media, one gets a lot of kind of attacking going on between people. You know, there's the pro-masks against the anti-masks. There's the pro-vaxxers against the anti-vaxxers. I mean, people, we've all got to try and live together in harmony. And at this point, does it matter on one level who's right and who's wrong? It's just that perhaps we have differences of opinion. And I think if we can respect each other's differences of opinion, as we all strive towards building a stronger future and somehow pulling together the dramatic change that this planet is kind of going through at the moment, if we go with that, because, you know, when you when a branch holds itself firm against the wind will snap it and break it. If it bends, then it can survive. And I think one of the underlying symbols for me about this month is that what we have to do is actually bend with that force of the wind. We've got to bend with the force of Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter moving towards their final kind of meeting in November, I think it is, when they finally all get together. The other thing I want to talk about before I move on to your individual signs is that we have a Mercury retrograde this month. Now, please don't fear Mercury retrograde. It can be a good thing, because it can give all of us, including the government, second chances to tweak things, to get things right this time. You know, as countries throughout the planet are beginning to see that they may have to enforce larger lockdowns again because of this kind of second wave that, I don't know whether the first wave ever went away, to be quite honest, but we have this kind of surge in virus cases. It feels like, hopefully, every single government throughout the world will use the vision of hindsight. I mean, we all know that 2020 is going to have that stigma on it forever of 2020 hindsight. And but you know, this Mercury retrograde is helping that. It's saying, look, we can see what we perhaps didn't get right last time. Let's try and actually get it right this time, because that way maybe we can save lives, we can save jobs, we can save businesses. So that's the positive of Mercury retrograde. The sort of the more downside of Mercury retrograde, and Mercury's going to be in Scorpio, and he goes then back into Libra, and he doesn't go direct till November the 3rd. So we've got, from the 14th of October, we've got this Mercury retrograde period. Yes, we can expect delays in travel, but I think we know why, and I think we're all more aware that if we are booking long distance travel or even short distance travel, it may be subject to change or cancellation. And I don't think we can just stop living our lives because of all these restrictions. I think we have to learn to adapt. And by adapting, I think respect everybody's own individual wishes within that. And respect each other, because this Libra emphasis on relationship, I do feel is super important for October. You know, this Mars square to Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, you know, there's going to be a lot of kind of sparking off and fights and arguments, and it's just quite tricky. I just want to look at what Uranus is doing, because Uranus is retrograde, of course, in Taurus, and I do think because Taurus is all about money and investments, this retrograde Uranus is going to see a little bit more instability again in the financial world and the sort of the economic climate, which is not what any of us want to hear. But I think there's a lot of nervousness around because of, you know, the fact that we're coming into winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and we are going to go through quite a challenging time. Now, I have talked a lot about October in this overview, but I just feel it's important to get these points across. Your individual sun signs will probably not be quite as long, but they will hopefully have the more direct information that you require to navigate your way through October. So before you go on to that, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into my channel, watching my videos, and subscribing to my channel. If you've not subscribed, I'd be super happy if you could. That would be fantastic. And the likes and shares are hugely, hugely appreciated. And also, if you would like to book a personal one-to-one session with me for astrology or life coaching, or you'll probably find it's a combination of both, in fact, then my website address is in the description box underneath the video. I think it's also just written here in the bottom of the video. So that's all I want to say for now. And so until next month, enjoy your October horoscopes. Thank you. Hey, Virgo, welcome to your October astrology for the Sun in Virgo or for the Ascendant in Virgo. And if you have a Moon in Virgo, check that out too. Okay, so on the 1st of the month, we have a full moon, and the full moon is in the cardinal sign of Aries. Now, it's in your 8th house, Virgo, and this is all about transformation. This full moon is helping you transform, and I think it's helping you rise above and have some eagle sight about issues to do with health, because it is conjunct Chiron. And I know you tend to be a bit of a worrier and a bit of an overthinker, Virgo, and I feel this full moon is saying enough is enough of that. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fine, you're doing well, and don't get caught up in, if you like, the drama that can come with all these issues we've been dealing with. So let's move on to the 4th of October, because we have finally Pluto, my big boy, that's in your 5th house with Jupiter and Saturn going direct. Now we have all three going direct. We've got Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto moving forward in your 5th house, which is to do with children, creative projects. It can also be love affairs and fun and just good stuff. Now, this area of your life has been quite blocked in recent years because of the energy of these big boys. But with Pluto moving direct, I think you're going to begin to see a transformation. And when Jupiter comes up to conjunct with Pluto, that's going to really, really ramp things up a few degrees. So it's going to be good for you. And I just want to remind you, of course, that Mars, remember, in Aries is squaring. That means he's making a harsh aspect to the direct boys now in your 5th house. So I think what it means to me is don't rush. Don't rush in where angels fear to tread. Just take it one step at a time, because even though they're trundling forward, they've had to slow down and stop, and now they're starting to move forward. Don't be in such a hurry to get to the finish line before you've done the things that need to be done, because we've got Mercury going retrograde on the 14th until the 3rd of November, and it's going retrograde in your 3rd house of Scorpio, and this is to do with documents and papers and communication. So if there's been any communication hold-ups, this is a time to address them, because even though many of us fear Mercury retrograde, it really doesn't need to be feared, because it can give us a second chance to go over things. So there may be a contract that you need to sort out or sign, and this will give you a chance to go over the fine print. And you're brilliant at that, Virgo. You're really good. And it might be that with this Mercury retrograde that you can actually think to yourself, I think I need to look at this again before I actually sign it, if you're involved in something like that. So, it may have been a new job possibility or something. So just bear that in mind. It's going to go back into your 2nd house of finance, actually, Virgo. So you'll also have a chance to just kind of look at the finances and see where you need to maybe budget a bit better, or just get things in better order. So that's what's happening then. Then we can move on to the 16th of October, when we have a lovely new moon in Libra in your house of finance. Now, that could be really very nice for you, because I think there's new opportunities where money is concerned. And remember, Libra, we're in Libra season. So, of course, this is very much about relating. So, what's your relationship with money? Do you have a good relationship with money? Because, it's really interesting. I think if we don't like money, then it won't like us. But I think if we like money and work with it and honor it and respect it and not see it as the root of all evil, then actually money likes us and will flow through us. Because remember, with money, it's very much like the life force of our civilization, because without it, everything grinds to a halt. And like blood flow in the body, if that gets stagnant and stuck, we get sick and probably die. So if you allow your finances to get stagnant and stuck, then that blockage of that sort of monetary and abundance flow is not going to be very helpful. So this new moon for me, Virgo, is saying try and have a different attitude about money in general, especially as Mercury is going to be retrograde, because I think that'll be kind of saying like, you could change your whole attitude to the way you invest your money, spend your money, and make it work for you. Okay, so moving on from then, we then have on Halloween, the 31st of October, the 2nd full moon of this month, a blue moon, and this one is in Taurus, and this is in your 9th house of travel and higher learning. So this could be really interesting, because it's also conjunct Uranus, and Uranus in Taurus in your 9th house. Now, what does this all mean? Well, I think for me what it means is that I just feel that there could be money made available for you to do some, longed for travel, or that you finally reach a point, with your sort of other half that oh, this is ridiculous, we just can't sit around like this forever. Come on, we'll just book something and kind of take the risk. But something about Uranus there which will add an element of surprise to this particular full moon. Let's hope they're nice surprises. It's Halloween, so I don't, with Halloween, you know, the full moon being in Taurus, it doesn't really kind of add any spookiness, sadly, to the whole event. If it was in Scorpio, it might be a bit different, but it's not, but never mind. So anyway, Virgo, a good month. In general, this is a month about relating. This is about your relationship to money, Virgo. I think work on that. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me on this channel to watch this October horoscope. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would be super happy if you could do that. And you'll see that there's a subscribe button just underneath the video, just down there. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for either astrology or life coaching, or a mix of both, because it will be a mix of both, because that's really the way I work. You'll see my website address just underneath the video here. So in the meantime, Virgo, I wish you an absolute super duper month, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye, Virgo.